What's up, everyone? Very excited for this video right here. This has been a video that I've wanted to create since day one, but I knew timing had to be considered, so I had to wait a little bit. But before I go into what it is, I do want to share with you why I'm doing this whole thing, why I've created this channel, and the purpose behind it. With what I'm trying to do in my life and the impact I'm trying to make in other people's lives, I know it takes time to build. And I understand that I have to be patient. There's many different things that are going to have to play and have to work out for me to make it to the level that I'm trying to do and have the type of impact that I'm trying to have in this world. But this right here, these YouTube videos, is something that I can do right now. It's something that is instant. This is something that I can put out to the universe and share with you and be a part of something where it's positive. And so this is my way of just instantly, right out the gate, adding value and putting good content out there. So my intentions are to connect with you. My intentions are to motivate you, inspire you. My intentions are to share and open up and be a little bit vulnerable with you, share some experience that I've been through. Really just at the end of the day, even if you just get a smile out of some of these videos, if you get a little kickstart for the day, if it makes you think a little bit harder about your future goals or plans, then these are working, and I'm all for that. So that's why I've created this channel, and as I continue to learn and through trial and error, I do intend for these videos to become better and even more impactful. So we're going to grow together on these. So that being said, this video right here is geared towards the hospitality industry. So that means guest relations, customer service, sales, waiters, waitresses, bartenders, bar backs, food runners, essays, whatever, the whole gamut. If you deal with customers, this video is for you. When I got hired as a server with no experience, I YouTubed how to be a good server, something like that. And the content that showed up was bland, it was boring. They gave me some pointers, but it just wasn't impactful. And so I said to myself, once I really got into serving and I realized that I had some natural talent, if you will, or I kind of took off or I excelled in it for various reasons, which I'll get into, I said to myself, I'm going to create some good videos and share some stuff that people can really use to see positive results in their arena, whatever it may be. So now this outline right here was created for the waitress, waiter, bartender. This was created for if you work in a restaurant. But all this information, all this content, you can use in whatever capacity you choose to. Even what we're going over today can be used, and I encourage you to use it just period in your life. This is not just pertaining to work, although that this is what it was created for, was for the work atmosphere, but this is for all areas. So we'll get into it. Background on this outline was when I got hired at Outback, I had pretty much no server experience. I had sales experience. I worked in the timeshare industry for overall about 3.5 years. I excelled in that. I was promoted to, in both companies, within a short period of time to top sales tier, top producers team, or what have you. And so I kind of had a natural ability to sell, building rapport, creating desire, creating that urgency, closing that deal. These were things that I was able to do. And so I did bring that into the restaurant industry, but I really had no server experience. My goal when I got hired, and I told the manager, I said, I want to become your best server here. With no server experience, that was one of my goals when I got hired. And it took about a month or so before the numbers came out. And after about a month and a half, sure enough, I was #1 in sales in every single category. #1. I had food, liquor, apps, desserts, total food and total food sales, total numbers. I was your top position. And it was because I really was attentive to how to grow. I was attentive on how I could become better every day. And I'll share with you the keys that I started to implement to get me there. So what happened was I took all the success philosophy techniques. I took all the thinking patterns and personal growth that I had learned over my time in prison, about 3.5 years of just total attack mode of how I could become a better person, how I can become successful, how I could deliver and create value for others. And I took all that and I said, okay, this is it. I'm going to put it to the test. I'm going to see if this stuff works. And so when I was fortunate enough to make it to work release at the end of my bid, I got hired as a server at Outback, and then it was time to test it. And sure enough, I was blown away right away. I mean, within the first week, I noticed a difference. The main thing that I noticed was that my other coworkers weren't really following or living this or acting or whatever you want to say in that same kind of in that same mindset. So, they were there, they were present, they were going through the motions, but there was something different. So I believe I had an edge from the very start. And these books if you start reading any of these success, personal help books, which I encourage you guys, one a month, just that's something that's really doable. They'll tell you, the average person is not living by these principles. They're not doing these things. And sure enough, that's what I found. It was very true. So I had a slight edge from the get-go, I believe. And what I did was I came in with that attitude, and I started to excel. Now, Tony Robbins talks about a technique called mirroring. And Robert Greene, in his book called Mastery, he talks about if you go into a new environment, you need to look for the top dogs. You need to look for the people who are really excelling at their job, and you need to find out how they're doing it. And then, obviously, you mirror those components. You do the things that are working for them. You also want to find the people who are falling off, who are not doing good, who are borderline about ready to lose it. They're about ready to get fired or quit or what have you. You want to find those people, too, because you want to see what not to do. So that was a big process for me. I looked at the top servers and I said, okay, what are they doing? How are they speaking to the guests? How are they moving? How are they adding value to their coworkers? And I started pretty much mirroring all those positive actions. I did see, where are the blind spots at? What aren't they doing? And then I would fill in those blind spots myself. And I started doing those things that I noticed, okay, they were great in all these areas, but this one area they slacked in. So I'm going to be great in all those areas, and that one area I'm going to focus on. So that was kind of the approach I had out of the gate. Like I said, I had my sales experience to go with that, so that was key for me, and I could share some of those techniques with you as well. It's definitely part of the outline. And the last thing I did was I went to all my tables, and this was at the start. I went to every one of my tables at the end of the meal, and I said, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Folks, it's been an absolute pleasure. I just want to thank you, and I would love to get some feedback from you. Me being a new server, I'm always looking for ways to grow, and I want to make sure that I'm improving. So any feedback on how I could have done a better job or anything you think I should know, please. And so I would take all these responses and I kept a log and I wrote them down, and I'd go back and I'd see, where was there a pattern. Attention to detail was really big, of course. One of the things that was big was not interrupting conversation, not being overbearing, constantly going to that table. So what I did was I just took all this and then I started to cut the fat, if you will. I started to trim the fat, what to do, what to take out, what to add on, etc. So towards the end, after I had excelled, after I became the top salesperson at Outback, the top server at Outback, I decided at that point, okay, well, let's really kick this up a notch, because obviously this is working. So I started asking the customers not what I could do to be better, but in their opinion, what makes a great server? In your opinion, what does it take to separate a elite server from the average server? And so I started getting those responses, and they were similar. There were some, you word it a little differently. I think it opens them up to where they don't think they're criticizing you, but just talking in general of servers. So I took all that knowledge and I added it to the mold. So I created this mold, if you will. And I believe wholeheartedly that if you apply the things that I'm going to share with you that I've created for this mold, you can, if you want to be the top salesperson, the best server in your restaurant, you can become that top server or that top salesman in your company. You can have the highest guest satisfaction comments if you're in customer service or whatnot. These are doable goals that you can start to achieve if you apply this mold. So, moving forward, this outline that I've created is a 3-part outline. I went to the owner at Outback and I said, I'd like to do a training with some of our servers. I want to take the 3 lower end servers in sales, pick 3 categories, liquor, food, and let's say desserts. So pick 3 categories. We see their numbers. I want to put them through a training class, and then I want to look at their numbers afterwards for the next month and see if there was improvements made. And so she said, okay, that's awesome. You're thinking outside the box. We would love to obviously do that. You're doing great. And so she said, here, come up with an outline, write something down, put something on paper and bring it to me. And if I like the sound of it, we'll move forward. So I developed this outline here and I brought it to her and she loved it. So she said, okay, we're going to try this thing. We're going to go ahead and do it. And so what we did was we broke it down into 2 classes, 3 people. It was about an hour and a half to 2 hours each class. And we did it. We went over the entire outline. I got testimonials written back for them and what they thought, how, ways that you could make the class better. And I mean, this was official. And the results that we got back from this were great. All 3 of them rose. Every one of their numbers rose. The 2 people that I'm still in contact with, because I have left Outback, I went to another restaurant. Big shout out to Mitchell's Fish Market, Winter Park. So the 2 people that I have stayed in contact with have been doing tremendous. The one girl, she's actually a closer now. They want her to become the lead server. She's going to be closing, doing all the cash at the end of the night. They're actually looking at her to become possibly a assistant key manager. So she's crushing it, which is awesome to hear. And so this thing works. This is an outline that has shown to be effective. The results are there. I've got the testimonials. I've also worked with a few other people outside of the restaurant that I was in. One was at Applebee's, one was at Chili's, and both of them as well wrote testimonials saying how that these specific things helped them in their sales, in their overall attitude, in their customer and guest satisfaction. So these techniques, these strategies are effective. And so right now, I just wanted to share them with you, and we'll go into them. Now, the Facebook post that I put out there, it said, stay tuned to the 3 keys of enhanced service. This is a 3-part series, it's a 3-part training class, and the 3 keys of enhanced service, I think I'm going to make number 2. The 2 other parts are outlook that changes the game and salesmanship. And the reason why I'm going to switch the order up is because I believe that the outlook that changes the game is the most important. I believe that the perspective that you have, the outlook that you have in life in general, but especially when you're walking into work, when you're going to your place of business, is the foundation. It's the most important thing. So we switched up the order. The 3 keys will be coming soon. That'll probably be the next video. But today we're going to talk about outlook that changes the game. So the first thing is that you have to know, you have to believe that your attitude affects everything and everyone around you. This is that law of attraction. This is that what you're putting out into existence is going to come back to you. This is believing that how you speak to others, how you communicate with others, the attitude that you have walking into the various situations that you're confronted with, your mannerisms. Are you smiling? Are you kind of frowning? Are you looking down when you walk? Are you looking up? Are your shoulders back? These things are all going to attract to you what it is that you're putting out. So if you're smiling, your shoulders are back, your head's high, your mannerisms are upbeat, that's the type of stuff you're going to bring back to you. If you're gloomy, your head's down, you're complaining about little things, you're going to attract the same type of people. And so if you want your guests, if you want your customers to be upbeat, if you want them to be happy to see you, if you want good tips, if you want to close that deal, these are ways to do it. And so the first part is your attitude. It's having a positive mental attitude. Napoleon Hill, big fan of Napoleon Hill, he talks about these different, as he calls it, success philosophy techniques, and he mentions how important it is to have this positive mental attitude in everything that you do. And so that was one of the first things that I started to implement in my change as a person. My overall outlook on life was and became one of positivity, one of abundance, one of warmth, one of invitation. This is just something that I decided I wanted to do and walk in, and I started seeing results. So the first one is that you have to believe that your attitude affects everything and everyone around you. And what you're going to start doing is, if you believe that, if you are consciously walking into work knowing that your attitude, your specific attitude makes a difference, you're going to start being more conscious of your mannerisms, of your communication, of the things that you're putting out there, your topics of discussion. If you're complaining a lot, if you're bickering about things, or if you're upbeat and you're talking positive and whatnot, you'll start to notice these things. And you will, if you're conscious of them and you want to change. Me, when I first started this whole positive thinking thing, what I noticed is, like, subconsciously, so really I wasn't even doing it, like subconsciously, once I really started to implement it, I noticed that I was doing things I wouldn't, normally ever do, like that random high five to somebody. Like, this was just like a new thing that I started doing, like randomly give somebody a high five. Well, that right there, that exchange pumped me up, it pumped them up, and it was just like, you just keep that going throughout the day. And I mean, it comes across. Your customers, your guests are going to feed off that positive energy. I promise you that. So that's the first thing. The second one is you have to expect, you have to desire to connect with your guests, with your customers. And what I mean by that is, we're not going to connect with everybody. Some people just don't mesh, and that's okay. But what we are looking to do is increase the number of connections. Because if you have 10 tables and you go into each table with the idea of, I want to connect with these people, I want to enhance their dining experience. If you go in with that intention, I can assure you that you're going to end up connecting with more of those people than if you were just to go out and say, okay, I'm here to take, I'm going to take care of them, I'm going to do my job, I'm going to deliver good service, I'm going to, get what they need, and then I'm going to give them their bill. There's nothing, that happens, but that's average is what that is. This video, this outline is all about separating yourself from the average. It's all about bringing you to that next level. It's all about increasing your tips, increasing your sales, giving you a higher sense of fulfillment. That's what this content is about. It's not about being average. We don't want average. Average is the general. We want to be above average, and that's what this is all about. So, going to that table, those 10 tables, and expecting to and desiring to connect with them is going to make a difference. So when they say something that you can actually connect with, find that similarity and build that rapport is important, because now that you're remembering the human element. You're not making this so black and white. You're remembering the human element and bringing that into play. And so now it's making a difference in your interaction. They're becoming more comfortable with you. The guard is down. There's not so much tension. And so you closing that deal, or you creating a more relaxed environment for their dining experience, is going to happen when you do this. The other thing that takes place when you do this is a level of sincerity and a level of being personable. It comes out naturally. You don't want this to be forced, because people can sense when it's coming off and it's not genuine. People can sense when it's fake. So when you go to each one of your tables, each one of your customers, each one of your guests with the idea to connect with them, the desire to connect with them, what happens is you do come off completely sincere. It becomes genuine, and they appreciate that. They trust that. That's how you move forward. That's how you do build that rapport in a more of an easy way. The other thing that's come from this for me personally is I've been offered multiple jobs since being at Outback and at Mitchell's. In fact, I was just offered a job at another restaurant the other day. Actually, I think it was yesterday. Which was great. I'm happy with where I am right now, but it's just nice to notice that people are saying, hey, we would love for you to be part of our team. We see and notice that you are doing something different, enough different to where we want to offer you to come with us. That's a good feeling, and that comes from this sort of stuff when you implement this sort of stuff. Another thing that happened while I was at Outback, I had met some people, and I kind of shared a little bit about my story with them, and they were inquiring, and so I kind of opened up a little bit, and I actually got 2 speeches that I'm going to be delivering at Full Sail University. That's going to come up here in a month or 2. We're still putting dates down, but these are friends. These are people that I've now met and have continued to build with, and they said, hey, we definitely want you to come speak to our students and share your experience and connect with them, and they can definitely learn from you. So, this is stuff that has only happened and taken place because of these things. Because of this outline and these things that I'm implementing and sharing with you, that's how this comes about. So when you expect and desire to connect with your guest, with your customers, what happens is you're able to build rapport much easier, and you're able to come off with a sense of sincerity and be genuine. Just they feel that and they feed off that. So you have that going, and of course, from the perspective change that you're delivering, then the opportunity comes. Then these extra things will come about, and not just pertaining to maybe a new job, but just doors opening in general. It could be in your specific place of business that you're at now. So connecting with the guests, expecting to desire and desiring to connect with them is number 2. Number 3, believe that you personally will enhance the dining experience of that guest. Or if you're in sales, believe that you personally will do the best job of delivering them the product that they need and they want. And it's not to say that your coworkers can't do that. It's just to say that you believe wholeheartedly in what you're doing. And this comes with a sense of confidence that you must have. I'm surrounded by a lot of good servers at where I work. And these servers are going to be able to deliver a great dining experience to whoever they're taking care of that night. But I believe whoever sits with me is going to get the best dining experience possible. Now, granted, we all have off nights, little slips here, forget to bring that, we are human. But for the most part, if you're following these things, 90% of the time you should be hitting the mark. And I believe that I'm going to deliver that experience not just because of the things that I'm doing and willingness to go the extra mile, attention to detail, timing, communication skills, not just because of that stuff, but because I truly care. Because I'm treating them as if they were guests in my own home. That's the attitude that I take on, and I know that my guests feel that. That comes across. That's genuine, it's sincere, and it comes across that way. And so that's what it's about. So these 3 things, your attitude, your positive mental attitude in everything that you do, you have to believe that affects your results in life. You have to believe that your attitude is making a difference in your daily walk, in your daily grind. You have to believe that your attitude is making a difference in the money you're making, in the people you're meeting, in the value that you're adding to the place of business that you're at. And so when you change that attitude to one of positivity, to one of energy, to one of just abundance, that's what you're going to get back. Expecting and desiring to connect with your customer and guest. I can't stress enough, huge. And last but not least is belief that you yourself, not anyone else, but you yourself are going to enhance your customer or guest experience in whatever capacity that you're in. So what I say is that when you create this thing, when you create a perspective and an outlook of one of warmth, of one of positivity, of one of abundance, I can assure you that those are the things that you're going to get back. That's what you're going to create. So the outlook that changes the game are these 3 things, and if you start applying this to your place of business, I can assure you that you're going to start seeing results. I would love, and I'm expecting to get some comments back from this. How's this working for you guys? Is there anything that you're having trouble doing. I will say at the start, when I first started changing the whole positive mindset thing, it was a little difficult for me. It was something new. And, you know, I felt maybe I was being a little fake, but I think sometimes we do have to fake it till we make it. You know, we're implementing a change. It's new to us. It's fresh. It's maybe a little uncomfortable, but keep going. Just keep trying, you know, keep adding to it and play with it. And sure enough, for me, it worked. You know, at the start it was a little rough, but eventually it became a daily thing for me. And so please give me some feedback, guys. I'd love to continue to work on this, and we can expand on this. And leave a comment below, questions, anything that you have. This whole thing is about us connecting with each other and growing together, so let's make this happen. Stay tuned for the 3 keys of enhanced service and also salesmanship. Those are going to be the 2 next videos that we go on to. I also do plan on opening up and sharing a little bit about my experience behind bars and you know, the changes that I was able to make, the specific things that I did in there to create those changes, a little bit about the background of what brought me to prison. And so, you know, it's all about connecting, opening up, and I'm with you guys. I love you. I wish you the best for the rest of this week. Start crushing it, baby. Add value. We'll see you next time.